Did you know that canned tuna can be a dangerous poison for your brain if consumed the wrong way? Have you ever wondered why some cans are cheaper than others, or why there are so many different types of tuna on the shelves? And the most important question, do you know which one might be filling your body with mercury without you even realizing it? Could that tuna sandwich you love be slowly harming your health? Today, I'm going to reveal a secret that the food industry doesn't want you to know. Not all tuna is the same, and this difference could be silently affecting your brain health. But that's not all. I'll also expose the 4 biggest mistakes people make when eating tuna, especially canned tuna, without even realizing the risks involved. And, of course, I'll share essential tips so you can enjoy this food the right way. Curious to find out? Stay with us until the end to make sure you're getting the most nutrients from this food without putting your health at risk. I bet that after these revelations, you'll never look at a can of tuna the same way again. But first, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Do you eat canned tuna regularly? How do you like to prepare it? Where in the world are you from? After watching the video, leave a comment below so we can get to know you better. What is mercury and where does it come from? Many of us have been eating tuna for decades, but we might not fully understand the mercury present in this food. Let's take a closer look at this issue. Mercury is a heavy metal that is naturally present in the Earth's crust, but because of industrial development, huge amounts of this element have been discharged into the air over time on an industrial scale, largely by coal burning and mining operations. There are 2 types of mercury we need to worry about: inorganic mercury and methyl mercury. When industries burn coal, inorganic mercury is released into the environment. This element gradually falls near the bottom of rivers, lakes, and oceans. In these low-oxygen environments, certain types of bacteria live on the sediment containing inorganic mercury and change it into methyl mercury, which is an even more toxic, dangerous, and potent form of the metal than ever before. Methyl mercury then enters the aquatic food chain. It is first absorbed by tiny organisms like plankton and small crustaceans. These are eaten by smaller fish, which are then consumed by larger fish, such as tuna. This process is why large predatory fish like tuna accumulate high levels of mercury over their lifetimes. That's why we should be mindful of excessive consumption of certain types of tuna, especially if we have health concerns related to the nervous or cardiovascular system. Why does tuna contain high levels of mercury? Tuna is a migratory fish that can swim for thousands of miles across oceans. Its diet varies depending on the species and where it is swimming, but usually consists of crustaceans and smaller fish. And that's exactly where the problem lies. If tuna is in an area where these smaller animals have been contaminated by methyl mercury, then it too becomes contaminated. Methyl mercury isn't easily eliminated from the body. Instead, it accumulates like a box where things keep getting added but rarely removed. The more contaminated prey a tuna eats throughout its life, the more this toxic metal builds up in its body. While tuna can get rid of a small portion of the mercury it absorbs, it never eliminates all of it. Certain parts of its body end up storing significant amounts of the metal. When we, at the top of the food chain, eat contaminated tuna, we also consume that accumulated methyl mercury, which over time can lead to serious health consequences. That's why doctors and nutritionists recommend eating tuna in moderation, especially for young children and pregnant women who are more vulnerable to the toxic effects of this metal. Biggest mistakes when eating canned tuna. Before you open your next can of tuna, here's what you need to know. Mistake 1. Not knowing the different tuna species. There are 3 main types of tuna you'll find on supermarket shelves, and the difference between them is huge when it comes to mercury levels. 1. Skipjack tuna, Katsuonis pelamis. This is the one commonly labeled simply as tuna on cans. It's the safest choice for regular consumption because it's a smaller fish, lives only 2-3 years, accumulates significantly less mercury, only 0.12 parts per million. 2. Yellowfin tunas albacaras. This one is quite different. Lives between 7-10 years, grows much larger than skipjack, has almost 3 times more mercury, 0.35 parts per million, still safe to eat, but should be consumed in moderation. 3. Albacore tuna, this is the highest in mercury, contains up to 0.50 parts per million of mercury, so concerning that the EPA and FDA recommend significantly limiting its consumption. Knowing which type of tuna you're eating makes all the difference when it comes to keeping mercury exposure under control. Mistake 2. Not reading labels carefully before buying canned tuna. If you want to keep eating tuna without worrying too much about mercury, pay close attention to the product label. This small detail can have a big impact on your health. When the packaging simply says tuna, it's usually skipjack tuna, the variety with the lowest mercury levels. But if it's labeled light tuna or yellowfin, be prepared for higher concentrations of this heavy metal. Some brands are more transparent and specify the exact tuna species in the ingredient list. It's worth taking a few seconds to check this information. If the packaging doesn't make it clear, a quick search on the manufacturer's website can provide the answer. Most major brands share this information online. Also, don't rely solely on tuna. Rotate it with other low-mercury fish such as salmon packed with omega-3s, sardines super nutritious and affordable, mackerel rich in flavor and essential nutrients, and trout delicate taste and very low in mercury. Mistake 3. Not managing weekly tuna consumption. Despite its convenience, eating too much tuna can be bad for your health. This is primarily due to the mercury found in tuna, which tends to build in the body over time. As a result, the United States Dietary Guidelines recommend that individuals take approximately 227 grams, 8 ounces of seafood per week, according to reliable nutrition authorities. Including canned tuna in your diet is a simple way to boost your daily omega-3 consumption, which is critical for brain and cardiovascular health. However, keep in mind that the type and amount of fat will vary greatly, depending on the canned tuna you select. That is why it is always advisable to read the labels and compare different brands before making a purchase. Before we continue, I've got some exciting news to share. If you enjoy our content and want access to exclusive benefits, become a channel member. As a member, you will unlock some amazing perks like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, members-only shorts, polls, quizzes, and special emojis and loyalty badges just for you. Just click the join button and be part of this community that values health and well-being. Your support helps us keep bringing high-quality content for you. Mistake 4. Not draining canned tuna properly. When opening a can of tuna, it is typical to overlook how the liquid should be drained. Whether your tuna is packaged in water or oil, you must drain all excess liquid before adding it to your dish. Otherwise, what happens? Your mayo gets watery and your salad turns into a soup. The best technique is to place the tuna in a fine mesh strainer over a bowl or directly in the sink. Then use a fork to press down on the tuna to squeeze out every last drop of liquid. This simple step makes a huge difference in the final texture. For a faster way, especially when dealing with tuna in water, utilize the can's lid. Simply open the can partially, turn it over the sink, and press the lid firmly against the tuna, applying equal pressure to both sides. This guarantees that all of the liquid drains without losing any tuna. Which is better, tuna in water or tuna in oil? Let's get straight to the point. Fresh tuna is always the best option. But let's be honest, canned tuna is a lifesaver for busy days, right? But have you ever wondered whether it's better to buy tuna in water or oil? The answer might surprise you. Canned tuna contains metals like aluminum from the can itself and mercury from ocean contamination. Here's where things get interesting. These metals are lipophilic, meaning they are attracted to fat. Tuna in oil, heavy metals tend to bind to the oil rather than the fish. So, when you drain the oil well, you're actually discarding a good portion of those unwanted contaminants. Tuna in water, since there's no oil to trap the metals, they remain in the fish itself, meaning you end up consuming more mercury. Not exactly great news, right? Aside from that, tuna in oil has more calories, but it also contains higher amounts of omega-3 and vitamin D compared to its water-packed counterpart. So, if your goal is to reduce mercury exposure, tuna in oil, well-drained, might be the smarter choice. A study published in Public Health Nutrition revealed an interesting insight about canned tuna. Tuna packed in water is great for those looking primarily for omega-3 benefits. On the other hand, tuna in oil may be a better choice for people who need a higher intake of essential fatty acids, both omega-3 and omega-6, which the body cannot produce on its own and must obtain from food. This is particularly relevant for individuals with cystic fibrosis who require an extra boost of healthy fats in their diet. To enjoy tuna without worrying too much about mercury, pay close attention to cans labeled simply as tuna. These are usually skipjack, which has much lower mercury levels. Take a moment to read the labels carefully, and if in doubt, do some quick research on the brand. The goal isn't to stop eating tuna, it's an incredibly nutritious food, but rather to make smarter choices. Also, mix it up with other low-mercury fish like sardines and salmon and keep your weekly portions in check. This way, you can maintain a tasty, nutritious diet without unnecessary risks. Now that you know about these common mistakes, they're easy to avoid. So, next time you grab a can of tuna at the supermarket, remember these 4 mistakes. Have you ever made any of these mistakes when buying or eating tuna? Do you have a creative way to enjoy tuna? Share your experiences in the comments. If you found this video helpful, type yes in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out these 2 videos we've selected just for you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.